online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your #1 source in after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All completely free thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey guys, welcome back to AfterBuzz TV's MasterChef After Show. I'm your host, Zach Wilson. Joining me on today's panel, as always.
Hey guys, Traci here. Thanks for joining in.
And I'm very excited to welcome our guest for this week, Victoria Scroggins.
Yes. Hi, Victoria.
Oh. Hey, what's happening? You got my last name right. That's so great.
Yeah, it's not like we had to ask before the show or anything.
No one's telling any secrets here on this show. Good to be here, Zach and Traci. What's happening, man? I'm so excited to be on the show.
Where are you calling us from, Victoria?
I'm calling from Brooklyn. That's where I live.
Brooklyn.
My hometown is San Angelo, but representing Brooklyn right here, the BK.
Love it.
Nice. Always good to be in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect.
No
It's
sleep.
always good. Exactly right. Until you get here, and you guys have a long way to travel from LA. And so get on the plane and just hurry up. Let's finish this show and get over to Brooklyn.
We'll work on that after we wrap up. I think we'll trip to LAX.
Yeah, red eye. We'll red eye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that sounds like some LA bullshit. All right, anyway, my bad, whatever.
So, how have you been since the show's been going? We sadly saw you go home last week.
Yes.
Was it rough watching that episode again?
Are you actually asking that question? Of course it was rough.
To watch
therapy
it,
bills
yeah.
are through the roof, bro. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I got kicked off the show.
Yeah.
The horror.
Is it worse to watch it or to experience it? I mean, you obviously know what's going to happen, but now you're like, okay, now the whole world knows.
Oh, I know, right? But I've got a really great support network of friends and family, and you know what's going to happen. But it's nice to have people around you, and it's great to get some high fives when you get kicked off the show. And even if you think, oh man, I wish I could have cooked some prawns longer, but that's all right. That's what it was, and someone's buying me shots, so it was all right to watch the show with some people.
Yeah.
That's good. I know we were all pulling for you here. Like, we thought you might have had it in the bag to keep going. Did you have any particular highlights of the run? Because you were always like the go-to person on any team event. Like,
yes
we got to get Victoria.
Yes.
Oh, I know. Wasn't that a good feeling? It was a good feeling for me. Maybe you guys didn't feel the same way, but I love being the go-to person.
Yeah.
It was great, but it was such a bummer to get kicked off. I mean, the highlights really are, shoot, man, every moment was a highlight. Every time that you get called out, every time you do something well, I mean, that's a highlight to have those judges call you out. It was great to cook for the soldiers. It was great to cook for the romantic diners and think that people hated your meal and then you win. Dude, come on. You guys watched it.
Yes.
Stick with me.
Yes.
Every moment was high.
We did. We just wanted. Did you have an absolute favorite that you were like, you know what? I thought that challenge was going to be this, and it ended up being that, and turned out to be your favorite.
I'm going to be honest. That romance challenge, like, I thought that I had screwed the pooch on that, and man, that was a high to realize that we won. I really thought that I had messed that up. To rock the proteins and then give a whole bunch of rare steak to some non-Texans. Man, that could have been a bad call, but it worked out. It worked out. I feel good about it.
Yeah, you had that one guy who was like, this is the best steak I've had in my entire life. And he's like 75 years old. And you figure he's had a lot of steak.
I know. Wasn't it the best moment to have a dude who's like eating 1,000 steaks and he's like, this is the best steak ever. And I'm like, thank you. My grandfather's dead, but you're alive.
The question everyone's asking, have you been able to eat prawns or any kind of shellfish since the episode?
I mean, I'm on a mission to eat every prawn that exists on the earth to make sure that I never see a prawn again. I will devour any prawn you put in front of me. I will eat it raw. I will eat it live. I will do anything. Just let's do it. Get those mothers dead.
Love it. Now, Victoria, what are your plans now that the show has ended? We've talked to some of your other contestants that were on the show with you, and they all were talking about kind of their directions with food and what they kind of planned on doing. What's yours?
Oh, my bag is, I've lived in New York for a while, and what I do is I cook food, I tell stories, and I make it all humorous, and so I've got a couple of things in the pipeline with my project called Scout Foods that, I'm just going to bring it out to people who are interested, and if anyone's willing to continue to engage in it, I want to travel the face of the earth and keep hearing stories about the food that people cook and the ingredients they find and the stuff they dig up, and
yeah,
I want to just jump on that train with them,
Yeah, tell us more about. You said it was Scout Food. What's the story behind that? What's the goal?
Well, the goal is, I'm from Texas, but I've been living in New York City for a really long time, and it's kind of marrying this idea of, I grew up where we raised our food, where we ranched our cattle, where we raised our sheep, and so there's a big connection with. I think we all find that movement in kind of like the local and the sustainable and different things like that. But, I grew up in an environment where it wasn't fancy, it wasn't elitist, it was just kind of like what was around you. And so with Scout Foods, I'm really interested in going back to that whole like Girl Scout, Boy Scout camp across America and the rest of the world and see what people are doing. And also just like open your eyes, scout it out. Let's find the weird stuff that's you didn't even know was next door to you, right? Like, there's a bunch of rooftops in L.A. that I'll come out there, we'll go eat some stuff, we'll grab some weird moss, and let's do some cool shit, right?
Yes, please. Now, Victoria, that sounds similar to kind of what Tyler's direction is. Have you guys been in talks at all after maybe you guys doing something together, or maybe Francis or Jamie, since they're both in New York City with you?
Oh, sure. I mean, anyone who's based here in New York, we've been connecting and stuff, but Tyler's a great example. We're both from the kind of country, and he's the guy who's cooking in camo. He's hunting the kind of stuff I grew up hunting, and he's doing the kind of food that I think is really cool that maybe someone isn't going to go out there and, like, harvest their own food, but he's still, I'm cooking goat hearts, he's cooking venison straps. Like, we connect on that level, and in the same way I'm connecting with our New York kids, like, Francis L., I want him to teach me the agar, the like weird balls of stuff. Let's have a ball of flavor in my mouth. Let's do it.
Yes.
I think that's all anyone is really searching for in this world is a ball of flavor.
By the tone of your voice, Zach, I know that you and I are connecting and looking for exploding balls in our mouth. I can definitely sense that.
Well,
yeah, I can definitely tell. That's our bag.
I can't argue with you there. So
that's right, bro.
No, that'd be awesome. I think the viewers would love to see, if some of you guys could kind of get together and run on an idea. I think that would be amazing.
We're working on it.
Good. Yeah,
I think working on it.
It's one of those things when you watch this show, because we know that there's so much more, that you guys seem like you become such close friends, and we only get like an hour a week. So in our minds, they spent like 2 weeks together, but you guys spent a lot of time together, even just in 2 weeks, being crammed in. Did you find that like you really gelled with everyone else that was there? Was it like more of like a fun butting heads, or was there anyone that you were like, just stay away from me, bro?
I wish I could be better guest for you, but you guys, I'm a get along, like go along to get along kind of person. So I really did get along with everyone. It's one of those things where I'm looking to like engage in people's knowledge and have a good time. So I'm willing to have a great time. I got along with everyone at adult food camp. That's what I think about it. It's like,
no, and I think we saw that as viewers.
That's kind of what it was.
Yeah.
Adult food camp.
Adult food camp.
Sign me up for that.
But you know what I mean? If you like food, you're kind of like, I'm that asshole who goes to dinner and keeps talking about the weird stuff that people are doing, and my friends love me, but they're like they're into food, but not that into food, right? You're like, oh, shit, put your phone down.
Right.
I'm like, all right, whatever. So this was this cool camp where, at least on my end, I'm still in touch with everyone and looking to kind of continue to engage. And I think I've watched past seasons, but I'm going to be honest, guys. I think this was the best season. We're a bunch of cool kids. We've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. I think we can pull it out and keep you watching.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I think this was a very, very entertaining season, to say the least, with a lot of very versatile contestants. So, and you guys each have your own different great backstory, which I think brings so much more to the show.
Well, that's nice. Thanks, man. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it.
Oh, you're welcome.
You got a lot of TV shows to watch, so I'm glad you're watching ours.
Yeah, man, I always check out MasterChef. It's fun. I'm curious, like, did you foresee yourself having like a career in food, or did you think that's like a dream? How did you get started in that path?
You know, this started as a side hobby. I mean, honestly, I've been someone who, as a young kid, just kind of like cooked food, and it's been one of those things that interested me. Like, I'm really engaged in the world, and I remember cooking a steak as a little kid while my mom had something she had to do, and I was left alone to my own lunch. And the next thing you know, 10 years later, I'm more engaged, and then a few years later, I moved to New York City, which is just a melting pot of not only cultures, but just the flavors that people bring into it. And and all the other stuff that I've been doing in my life, food was always a constant. And opportunity arose, and I decided to try out for MasterChef, and it was like, holy crap, I wasn't just full of my awesome ego. I can actually, like, cook a dish. This was pretty fun,
Yeah, did you go to the New York auditions? Is that where you...
I did, yeah. I've lived in Brooklyn about 13 years, so I've been here a while. So yeah, my girlfriend brought home a flyer, like, on Thursday, and that Sunday I just took a dish and auditioned.
That's awesome.
And
you guys all
obviously, by the tone of my voice, you know that I'm amazing, and everyone would bring me onto a show. No question.
I mean, you guys all found out in, like, the weird, like, such random different ways. Daniel was, like, on the toilet.
Yeah, reading a magazine. And he saw
I'm
that.
tell you. Right, he was reading a magazine. I'm going to tell you a weird little trivia fact. Daniel and I were about the same age, and he's originally from, even though he's from LA, like, on the show, he's originally from a town called Marble Falls, Texas, and that was the big city to my small town of 2,000 people, his town of 6,000 people, which is I was about 45 miles away from him throughout junior high.
Oh, my God.
And that man broke out of the trailers just like me, and we met on MasterChef. You guys don't care. I'm
small
sorry.
world. No, it's small world.
That is a very small, especially considering then you guys end up and he's in LA and you're in New York. So
I know, right? This podunk hill country Texas towns, and you're like, oh, I like beat your girlfriend at basketball. What a great feeling.
I'm glad basketball is at the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
You're saying beat his girlfriend. Never mind, bad joke.
So, Victoria, where can people, people want to find out more, you're telling us about Scout Food, if they want to find out more about that or just to follow you, where can they keep up with you?
Oh, in a classic sense. I mean, if anyone's on Twitter, they can definitely follow me at MC5 Victoria. They can check out Facebook at MC Victoria. But also you can go to scoutfoods.com. You can go to victoriascroggins.com. Just tap into something. If you like what my awesomeness brings to your life, someone could engage in that stuff, And
I think that we have plenty of listeners who are going to be excited to check that stuff out. Victoria, thank you so much for joining us. It was a real pleasure having you on.
Yes, thank you, Victoria.
Oh, yeah, it was really fun, you guys. Thanks so much.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
All right. It was great. We got to talk to her for a little bit after we sadly had to see her go home last week.
Yes, that was very sad. So she seems like a very upbeat person, though. It's kind of one of those things. She's gonna bounce back, which was very different than talking to Francis and him being a little bit depressed as he was. But no,
Francis had sad bagpipes playing in the background.
Yes, he did. He was very upset. But Victoria, she seems like she's a go-getter, and I love it, and I would love, like I said earlier, to see her and Tyler or some of the other contestants pair up and, like, do something awesome, because they do have that bond from the show that a lot of people, don't have. So I think that if they're like-minded in that way, they should run with it.
Yeah. And so let's get to tonight's episode.
Let's do it.
Top 8.
Yes.
Because we had 2. Last week was top 10, but then we lost 2 people after we lost to Ron, too. And now, top 8. We open with the most, again, just like super dramatic music.
Yes, it is.
It can't ever not be super dramatic.
Right.
And we have Daniel talking about how he quit his job, just to remind us.
Yes, yes.
At the top, that should have been your first hint as to what was going to happen. And they're going to be doing 2-person teams, 4 teams, and then you will pick your own teams.
Yeah.
So it's like middle school science class
I
style.
know, like who's gonna? Well, at least you know there's not gonna be one person left because it's an even number.
Yeah.
So that's
Buddy up.
Yeah.
Yeah. and so you had all the, like, Elizabeth became the popular kid who everybody was like, can I be on your team?
Yeah. Can we talk about that for a second? Why do you think that is? I mean, for me, I would have thought it would have been Courtney.
Well, I think she was the other one. People definitely swarmed the both of them.
No, Daniel didn't even want to work with Courtney. Daniel specifically was like, no.
Well, Daniel doesn't like her.
Well, okay, that's true.
I mean, there's this person has a lot of skill, and I just don't want to work with this person.
True. No, I guess Elizabeth, I mean, I can see how she's been very charismatic, and it was just so funny to see Leslie literally negotiating with her, like, I'll do whatever you want. And he'd kind of been the same way with Iran. So this wasn't the first time we'd seen him kind of, like, be submissive to his partner.
Leslie is a master of the game.
Yeah.
Like, for any faults that you can give him, like, his teams haven't done well, he, like, whatever's happened, he has played this game better than anyone else.
Yeah.
Because no matter how many times he might be in a pressure test, he just kills it every time.
That's
and
true.
Here he's like, all right, so what's the best thing I can do to just win this challenge? Just get through to the next round. Oh, I got to be with Elizabeth. I don't even care if I have any creative input. She's going to win.
Right.
Because she's been the most solid to this point, I think. Like, no real big faults from her. She's never like on the bottom and then up to the top. She's just like, she might slip out of the top and just be middle ground, or then she'll go back up to being number 1 again.
Yeah.
That's why she's one of the favorites right now.
Yeah, and I think she also has a very dominant personality, which he kind of was like, you know what, she's going to do this, she's going to get it done. Literally, like, I'm just going to follow along. And
dominant, but also like a sweetheart. Like, you get at least this is what I get the sense of, that she's like, take charge, like, no, like, doesn't even matter. This is business. We're cooking. But at the same time, she's like, oh, thank you. Like, she just seems like a very nice person.
Yeah, she's definitely grown on me. I can see you saying that. I thought in the beginning she was extremely, like, catty. But I think you're right. I think she has kind of grown on me and can be seen as, like, a sweeter girl.
Yeah, even the judges call Leslie Mr. Submissive.
Yes, and she says, well, he basically just said he'd do whatever I want. He's like, I will never admit to that.
Too bad, Leslie. There are cameras broadcasting to millions of people around the globe.
Exactly.
So then they drop what the challenge is going to be, and Gordon takes out this beautiful-looking chicken, and he just takes his knife and just slices it like a samurai master into 4 parts. So the chicken breast, the legs and thighs, the wings, my personal favorite, and the oysters, which is like the thing I always forget about. It's like, what's the 4th part gonna be?
Right.
I thought they were gonna like give them like the liver or
that's
like
what the neck or like, I mean, I've never ever had an oyster from a chicken. Have you?
Not knowingly.
Yeah. So probably not.
I mean, I've eaten a lot of different pieces of chicken. I probably have at some point. But it's just a random part. You don't usually cook with it. Like if you're making like a soup or something, you'll throw it in because it's just another piece of the chicken. But it almost looks like an organ that you're just like, get rid of this.
Yeah, very, very tender. He said the most tender part of the chicken, so.
Which also means it would be the most temperamental.
Right, correct.
So
who are the teams at this point?
The teams, they break down Willie and Cutter, which that seems like nobody wanted to play with us.
Yeah, that seemed like an epic fail from the beginning.
Yeah, because you have Elizabeth and Leslie, Courtney and Christian, which seems like just a powerhouse team, and Jamie and Daniel.
Yes.
Jamie and Daniel make sense to me.
Yes,
they seem like they would just get along. Like they're not they're both team players.
Yeah, and they both like each other. They genuinely like each other, so they're gonna like at least listen to each other's kind of input. You would think. I mean, I see Daniel taking the lead with this one, which actually I don't think really happened, but that's what I thought. And Jamie kind of just going along, but they like each other and they care about each other. So I was like, they're a solid team.
Yeah, and when they got into the pantry, they're like, oh, you have to go do your shopping, get everything, and they pick up their little lockbox, and nobody gets to know what piece of chicken they just picked up.
They're all locked.
It's just a crapshoot.
Yeah.
And so once they get back out, Willie and Cutter got the chicken breast. They got the best cut, the easiest to work with. Elizabeth and Leslie got the oysters, which like they seem like they'd be the people that could handle that without any problem. Courtney and Christian got the legs, which they were really excited about. I mean, I like drumsticks. Who doesn't like drumsticks? It doesn't seem like an ideal piece, but I guess it's easier to work with than the wings.
Yes.
Which Gordon was like, do not give me a fried chicken wing.
Right.
Like,
They wanted it more of a like very elegant entree than just kind of like regular food you could get anywhere. So.
And that was tough. I mean, which would you prefer to have of any of these? Would you just go with the chicken breast?
Yeah, absolutely. Just because, you know, at this point you want to play it safe but experiment a little bit. And with the chicken breast, I feel like it gives you that kind of opportunity. Whereas like oysters have to be point on. Chicken wings, you're like, how am I gonna make these fancy? Like,
you can't just do like a buffalo wing.
Right. So, I mean, at this point, yeah, I think chicken breast was the best option for people.
Yeah, because you have to do at this point, you have to do something good that takes a little bit of a swing, but nothing crazy.
Right.
Which is what backfired on Cutter and Willie in this one, because they try. Cutter comes out and he's like, we should do chicken dumplings with hollandaise sauce and asparagus, which actually in my mind actually sounds really good. But I get that like with a chicken breast, that's like hiding the chicken inside so many other flavors.
Like, yes, exactly. Exactly. That's what you do with a different piece of the not when you're given like the best one that though you're given the holy grail and you're going to like throw it away is basically what that was doing.
I think the dumplings might have been a good call for like Jamie and Daniel. If they like cook the wings, shave them off and like get the meat into the dumpling, that could have been really good.
Yeah.
To get the dark meat, I think it worked really well.
But Willie from the beginning is against this idea.
Yeah, he's like, no, it's a bad idea, but he doesn't speak up.
He doesn't.
Willie, we love you, but speak up.
Yeah, I mean, I've just never, you know, I've seen him in team challenges and I've seen him be in partner challenges, but I've never seen him like not say anything, especially when he sees it going as a disaster. Like, this is top 8. This is when you fight for your ideas. This is when you're like, I'm not going home because of you. Yeah. So I was just kind of like, Willie, why aren't you? You're an amazing chef. You're 100 million times better than Cutter. Ugh.
In fairness, Cutter doesn't seem like the kind of person that would respond to like somebody being critical of him. Yeah,
I mean, I totally agree with that. But at this point, like, who cares? It's, you know, you're on a team, but it's still every man for themselves. Like,
yeah. Well, the judges even say at one point when they're talking about their dish, you guys seemed like you were creating 2 dishes that didn't, and then like trying to put them together.
Yeah.
Which I think has happened to Cutter before too, where he just like I think it was him and Daniel. They like started making 2 dishes that like didn't go together.
Yeah.
And then they like put it on the same plate, and the judge is like, well, what is this?
Yeah.
But so you have Elizabeth, who's just like, she's just taking charge. It's not even Leslie's dish. She's just like a sous chef at this point.
Do this, taste this.
But she just like, we need to go really simple. Mm-hmm. Like the best thing we can do is just like seasonings on it. She goes to make a green New Delhi curry.
Yeah.
Which sounds so good.
It totally sounds, it looked even better. It was definitely the best looking dish out there.
Oh, yeah. I think it was Gordon was like, he's a crafty old man, this schmuck.
Yes.
I burst out laughing. Yes. It's just the idea of calling Leslie a schmuck
for his
air.
Strategic moves, yeah.
Whatever, man. It's working.
It is working.
For $250,000, you can call me a schmuck all day.
Yep.
But so then you have, so Willie and Cutter are just, they're doing their weird thing. Gordon's yelling at him like a hollandaise. He hears them from across the room. Yes. He yells, "Hollandaise with a broth? Cutter, are you nuts?"
Yeah. He was like, I mean, the judge is like sitting there, no. And Cutter's like, really?
really?
He's like, yeah, and Willie's like, that's what I've been trying to tell you.
And but like at this point, it's like it's just as much your fault for not speaking up.
Yeah, that's true. But the literally he gets called out like, no, that's not gonna work. Why would you ever do that? No, no, no. So then, thank goodness they take a turn. And put the dish in a different direction.
They listen to the judges, drop the dumplings completely.
Turn the broth into a light sauce.
Yeah, which Cutter said, it's 'cause it broke.
Oh, yeah, the hollandaise sauce, yeah.
Because the hollandaise broke, so we changed the whole dish.
Ramsey says, thank God for that. We're like, okay.
You have Courtney and Christian, they're doing a pan-seared chicken thigh over a cannelli bean puree. Some kind of sauce. She's like, they were throwing this stuff at us so quickly.
And a tomato heirloom.
And I thought, and Graham was concerned that it wasn't even be cooked enough.
Yes,
at one point.
And then she like rebutted him with, Christian got here on fried chicken. I trust him with the chicken. Yeah. So he's not going to go home on it. And then Ramsey's like, all right. The end. That's all you needed to say, and walks away. And
that's not a racist thing. Like, he cooked fried chicken on the show.
Yeah, well, that's how he apparently got into the show or something.
Yeah. Well, he's like, he did it in the diner challenge as well. He was in charge of that.
He knows his chicken.
Yes. But so Jamie and Daniel, they got the wings, which, as I said before, chicken wings, one of my favorite foods. I would not want to get stuck with them in this. So they're doing like an oven roasted fingerling potatoes with some carrots. And Joe comes up, our chicken wings, a restaurant entree. And Daniel, well, that's what we were given to work with.
Yeah.
Do you keep it on the bone at that point, or just like, do you have to just like cut it off and like you basically have like a ground chicken?
I don't know if it should have. I think that they could have taken it off the bone, but I think that they really wanted to work with what they were given with. And, everyone, including the judges, knew that they were given the worst part. And I mean, Joe even was like, okay, this looks great for something I'd get in an airport. But, I think they all did take into consideration that it was chicken wings and there was only so much that they were going to be able to do with it. So,
and then, once they're brought up, Joe's like, this is good. It's not great.
Yeah. Am I blown away now?
Yeah. But he puts it's an interesting fusion of their two visions, is what he says. And I think that should get big points for them.
Agreed.
In my mind, just the fact that they could work together enough to put out a cohesive dish that still sang of both of them.
Right.
And I'll bet those chicken wings were amazing.
I'm sure.
They looked great. Gordon says that the skin would just need to be a little bit crispier, just a little bit longer. Jamie walks away. That was weird.
Yes.
Because I think she doesn't even know how to take that sort of criticism. Because how do you take, this would be really good in an airport restaurant?
Yes. No, I totally agree. So then the judges end up choosing who's going to get sent up. And automatically everyone, we kind of knew it was going to be Elizabeth and Leslie. Done.
Yeah, they're just like right up to the balcony.
Just walk yourself up. Throw out the carpet. You're good.
Yeah, a dreamy dish, as Joe put it. But Willie and Cutter, they walk down and are just ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
What were the quotes that I wrote down? The breast is bland, and the asparagus has the butt on.
Yes.
Not impressed.
The asparagus did have the butt on.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, he did say good night. We're like, this was only the first challenge. They still have
like we're only 20 minutes into this show, Gordon.
Yeah, but okay. Good night, Gordon.
But and then Courtney and Christian come up and they have the Brussels sprouts, and I thought that these two might be in hot water at this point because he's like the chicken's cooked really well. They braised it in tarragon and butter, but he's like Gordon's just like the Brussels sprouts I hate.
Yeah.
Like they censor Gordon Ramsay again because they never do that.
Right. He said he hated the combination together. He was like, you don't put that together. Maybe like a bacon Brussels sprout, but no, like you're not going to put tomatoes and Brussels. He's like, absolutely not.
Tomatoes and Brussels sprouts.
Right. But the chicken was amazing. He said the chicken is seasoned perfectly.
And ultimately, Elizabeth and Leslie right up to the balcony.
Yeah.
And Courtney and Christian, despite whatever combination thing Gordon didn't like,
up
they
to
get
the
saved.
balcony.
And so into the pressure test goes Willie, Cutter, Jamie, and Daniel.
Yeah.
That's a rough group to be in for any of them. Those are all, well,
A solid 2.
I mean, we know it's going to be challenging because there's still a lot of time left in this episode.
Right.
And they walk in, it's like, pressure tests, plural.
Yes.
We'll let you know what that means after the break. As we take a break, to remind you guys to go on to iTunes. Really quick, guys, I just want to talk about it real quick. It's really important how much I want to talk about how much your reviews, the fact that you guys listen to this, means to us. It's really important that you guys can go on and rate the show, go onto YouTube, give us a thumbs up. It means the world to us as hosts. That it helps us know that we're doing a good job for you, and helps our bosses here at AfterBuzz know that we're doing a good job. But it also helps because you guys get a shout out if you leave a review on iTunes. And we got a nice 5-star review from J Snow Baby Mama.
Ooh.
Somebody is a big fan of Jon Snow.
Nice.
They want to be his baby mama, apparently. Who says, love it. The guest, love them. The jokes, love it. The insight, love it. Keep up the good work, AfterBuzz.
We love you too.
We love you too, J Snow Baby Mama. So, enough about iTunes.
Enough about iTunes. But
We're
yeah,
back
leave us
from
a
this
comment,
commercial
we
break.
read 'em. Okay.
With the twist, it's not the chicken, but what came first? The egg.
The egg.
And it's going to be 3 back-to-back egg challenges.
Yes.
Start out with 4. The winner goes up to the balcony. Then 3. The winner goes up to the balcony. Then 2. The
Someone
loser
goes
home.
Yes.
And so the first challenge is a poached egg. Very tough, very technical.
Yes. And they're given 1 egg. So
That's the
it's
biggest
like
challenge.
if you lose, you lose. There's no coming back from that.
If you mess up anything, you're done.
Yeah.
It has to be silky smooth, not like a liquidy yolk. This is the part where for me it would just get really tough, is like hitting that line between like not a solid yolk, not just like a raw yolk, but like somewhere in the middle. That's when it gets tough.
Yes, absolutely.
And so they're all going and they're doing the best they can. Willie puts in like some vinegar into his thing, and he's just like, you just gotta sing Amazing Grace 3 times.
It's done. That was my favorite. His sound bites, I'm telling you, they could get me all night long. Yep, sing Amazing Grace 3 times and your egg's done. That's the secret. I was like, oh, you're the best guy in the entire world. I love you.
So then they're getting, and like one of the things that I think the people on the balcony were saying is like, Daniel's like mixing his thing with a spoon.
Really hard too.
Yeah.
Like really fast, he was saying.
And as they bring it up, we find out that backfired on him because his yolk is just gone.
Yeah.
It just slipped out of the egg as he was like stirring the water, and all he's got is like a white egg little mash thing going on.
Yep, he sure did. And
Joe doesn't even eat it. No. He's like, I don't even taste this.
He's like, Daniel's like, don't.
His quote, if it wasn't so sad, it would be funny.
As he walks away.
Oh, that's like they're just smacking Daniel in the face.
Agreed.
Jamie did a good job. Cutter, as Gordon said, could have had one of the best, but he nicked it when he was taking it out, when he was putting it onto the plate, and just spilled the yolk.
Womp
Cutter,
womp.
shocking everyone. But Willie is our winner.
Yes,
and there was
Willie
some
wins.
concern because he used the vinegar as like this little trick that he had, and Graham was concerned that it would taste like vinegar, but it didn't.
Nope.
Good job, Willie.
Winner.
Willie goes up to the balcony. Round 2, egg yolk ravioli, which I didn't even know was a thing, personally.
I was like, I've never even heard of that, let alone tasted it. But I mean, I'd love to taste it.
I guess it'd be good. It's just pasta and egg yolk. It
Yeah.
must be delicious.
Done.
But it's similar to a poached egg. Gordon basically says or Graham says it's essentially just a poached egg in a pasta instead of egg white.
Yes.
And you can't let any water through. That's the trick.
Right.
No
or it'll
water
start
can get
cooking
through.
the egg
Yeah.
inside the pasta.
And you don't want that.
Right.
God forbid you cook the egg. But so they bring them up, and the judges didn't say anything. Did you think that was weird?
Yes, they tried every single person's dish and had no comment, just tasted it, walked away. At first I thought it was just to Jamie, and I was like, well, that was rude, Joe. But they did it to everyone.
On
so.
Daniel's, they were like, "Was the pasta might not have been sealed enough." Walked away.
Walked away.
But so then they come back out, and surprise, Cutter, because people thought like he was using a fork to seal it. People like Cutter, oh, Cutter's screwing it up. He's gonna go home. He's gonna puncture something.
Yeah.
Cutter nailed it. Cutter, just like Leslie, somehow manages to just pull it out at the last second every time.
Yes, he does. That he does. I'll give that to him all day. Somehow, no matter what, he always makes it through. So good for you, Cutter. You're obviously there for a reason. I don't know, but you're there for a reason.
These hands are made for sneaking into the top 7.
Yes, he does it. So, yep, Cutter goes up to the balcony.
Not just for beer and steak, but for making it really far in MasterChef.
Yes.
Apparently. Jamie's is like good enough, I guess. It's not, but Jamie Daniel just not quite up to par.
Yeah.
With Cutter's, and they have to go to the dreaded round 3 presser test.
Yes.
A cheese souffle.
Yeah.
Oof. That's just like it has to be one of the hardest things. So souffles are so temperamental to be under that pressure to get it done, and so they're given only 40 minutes to do it. As Gordon says, like, you have 12 to 14 minutes of that has to be your cook time,
right?
Minimum.
And he was sitting there cheering them on, get it in the oven, get it in the oven. And Daniel's went in 30 seconds after Jamie.
They go in at the same time. There was concern, like Daniel's might have been his bechamel was too runny.
And then Jamie's was too thick.
It was too thick.
Yeah. So now it's a toss-up. And then they're baking, and, Gordon goes over and has them look at each other's. And they're like, they look the same.
They look really good, and they take them out. And even Courtney's like, from the balcony, he's like, they look identical.
Yeah, they rose the same. The coloring on them for cooking was the same. So at this point, like Daniel says, it's just going to be about taste.
Yeah, and as some people know, the souffle is not the souffle. Souffle is the recipe.
Yes, exactly.
There's about 5 people listening on the crossover audience between MasterChef and Doctor who understood what I was just saying.
Yeah, I wasn't one of them, but I agreed because that's what I do.
Willie is just nervous because like nobody knows what's going to happen. Like you're looking at these 2 talented chefs. As Daniel even says when they ask him, he's like, she's very talented. I'm very talented. All you can do is just go for it.
Right.
And like it's going to come down to whose tastes better. And the judges like all walk up as a group, like together as like a gang.
Yes.
As they taste these. And they come out. Jamie's, they say they could have done with a bit more cheese on hers. Daniel's was a little bit too salty.
Yeah.
And that salt was just enough to send Daniel home.
Yep.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it really was. Someone wrote a comment on YouTube that I have a crush on Daniel, but I assure you I don't. I just think that he's great. He's a great guy. We've had him in here, and I was really sad to see him leave. Jamie's a great cook as well, but I don't know. I like meeting someone in person. I'm like, oh, I like Daniel.
Yeah, and Jamie's also like, there's nothing to knock it. It's just because Daniel like sat right here and chatted with us. Daniel, if you're listening, we're so sad to see you go home.
Yes, very sad.
But he says he's got a plan. He's gonna go open up a bar with delicious plates and Japanese arcade games. Daniel, when you open that bar,
oh my gosh!
Because if you live in LA, I'm hoping it's in LA. We will be there.
Yeah, tweet us.
We will be there in line.
With Joe buying the beers.
First in line with Joe.
Buying the beers.
Yep. So, and that's it. Daniel walks out. There's this one shot of him like curled up on the floor. Was that from this week?
No, that was before when he was watching something cook in the oven.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't anything.
That was like the sad, because they played it afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God, did he collapse on his way out?
He did get emotional though.
Yeah.
Towards the end, just talking about how he'd never really taken risks. But I think it was a more happy emotional than anything. So good for him. Glad to see him. He was here this long. It was a last minute thing. And I think he's happy with how it all went.
It's not bad for finding out that about the competition on a toilet. And if you haven't listened to that interview, go back to a few episodes ago when Daniel was in. Great story about him finding out about the competition and then like having to rush in, not reading the rules close enough and almost getting them completely wrong, but somehow making it on the show.
For sure.
So check out that interview. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Let's do a quick round of predictions before we get out of here.
Yeah.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Tag Team Challenge. That's basically all we got for next week.
Yeah.
But they have 7 people. So I wonder what that's going to be.
Honestly,
does one team have 3 people on it?
Yeah, I guess that's going to be it. I guess one team will have an advantage, or I don't know. I have no idea.
Next week be the episode? I'm just still predicting that there will be an episode
where they bring someone back.
Where they bring a few people back. And then like a lot of times what they do is like they bring them in and they have like a mini like mystery box or whatever. And then it's like the person that wins that gets to come back into the competition.
Gotcha.
So we could see another top 8.
It'll be interesting. As far as who's losing, going home, I'm not sure right now. I really, I just... Cutter's still there. Alyssa's still there. I mean, I've been wrong this entire time on everything. So I guess for me, I'm just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, I guess I've got to say my top 2 are still Courtney and Elizabeth. Willie, I love Willie, but he's had some struggles, and maybe it's just because he was working with Cutter and like working with another person. It's tough when you butt heads.
Yeah.
But like he's got to step up next week, or he's going to be in danger. He was on the bottom 4 this week. Risky.
He'll be fine.
I believe in you, Big Willie. I believe in you.
All right.
But so that's going to do it for this week. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Traci, if people want to follow you along on Twitter, where can they find you?
Yeah, if you guys want to find me on Twitter, it's TRACIABTV, and on Instagram at TRACIPRO. Zach?
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson, THATZACHWILSON. And also here at AfterBuzz, I'm doing The Leftovers and The Strain. And I've got a bunch of new shows coming up soon in the fall, so be sure to tune in for those. And thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.